Grand afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday, September 20th, 2025. It is 1600 hours in the evening, and we have quite a few new breaking news articles and things like that have come out in the last 24 hours or so. Things are seriously moving fast now. The last 24 hours, things have been moving at lightning speed. And this is a great example of it right here. We have quite a few different things to talk about today. We have a few at least. Much as the title says, World War III, Israel, and Iran. Though especially World War III overall. So this bit of breaking news here from World Affairs. We have President Donald Trump says Russia-Ukraine war will be a world war very soon. So that's the President of the United States saying himself that the Russia-Ukraine war will soon be a world war very soon. He has come out and said that himself. Now it's being heard that Israel will start a new war against Iran. Well, the thing is about that war, it only went to a ceasefire. There was no peace treaty, definitive truce. What happened with the war? There was just simply a ceasefire that has been going on up until around now. Israel and Iran are gearing up to continue the war. So they're going to call it a new war. And this is mainly in part because Iran now has nuclear weapons. They developed an ICBM that can hit anywhere in Europe. So that's huge. Definitely need to watch the Middle East a bit more. I've also been seeing that Al Qaeda, that's what the government's saying anyway, is that there's about 1,000 Al Qaeda infiltrators here within the United States. Sleeper cells of sorts that are here in the US and about to gear up for an attack. Major attacks on major cities. I believe that was from the CIA or the Pentagon. Pretty much the same thing there. We have further breaking news, and this is really what makes this, I think, a Code Black update, the highest of them. 3 Russian MiG-31 fighters flew into Estonian airspace and headed toward the capital, Tallinn, according to Politico. The jets circled for about 12 minutes before NATO scrambled Italian F-35s to repel them. So these Russian fighter jets, these MiG-31s, that's about the latest fighter jet Russia has. So there were about 3 of them. It says 3. And they were circling in Estonian airspace for 12 minutes until Italian F-35 showed up to get them out of the airspace. So that's a massive provocation, an act of war against Estonia. Estonia has invoked Article 4 due to what Russia just did with these fighter jets. It's a huge sign that Russia is about to invade the Baltic states. Estonia is one of them. This is very interesting. I saw this earlier. Japan says it will act against Israel if it blocks the two-state solution when it comes to, I believe, a Palestinian state near Israel. I don't know much about this two-state solution that they're referring to. It's huge that Japan is actually coming out and saying they're going to act against Israel, possibly in a military sense, if it blocks the two-state solution. You can very easily see the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, denying and blocking this two-state solution. He doesn't care if he goes to war with the world. This guy, he's out of his mind now. With the arguable genocide that he's doing in Gaza and other targets that Israel bombs. Though especially in Gaza, how they bomb any buildings and targets, and then they claim that Hamas was there, and lots of civilians get in the crossfire. They do not care where they bomb, really, at this point, or who they shoot at. Israel has really crossed the line a while back now, and it's been that way for some time. That's just the truth of what Israel is doing. Now we have further, slightly different World War III related news here. An American B-52 strategic bomber has appeared on NATO's eastern flank. Earlier, just a few minutes ago, an American B-52 strategic bomber accompanied by supporting fighter aircraft appeared in the skies over the Czech Republic as part of Czech Air Force Day celebration. The formation is heading east, indicating that it intends to deliver an appropriate response to Russian provocations. A B-52, all of these B-52s are nuclear strategic bombers. That's the part he left out. B-52s, that's like their main purpose is to be a nuclear strategic bomber. They don't really have many, if at all, strategic bombers. Further news related to Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister says he will never let Iran to build nuclear facilities. We are ready to strike Iran very badly. That's what he said. So yes, this is about to happen very soon, as expected. A few times, at least, that Israel is going to continue the war. What happened in that 12-day or so war, as they call it, is just the very beginning and very start of that war. Ceasefire affects the West very negatively, especially Israel, because in that time, this is exactly what the Iranians were doing. They've been building nuclear-capable ICBMs. So, further news, this is really crazy that the US, especially Trump's main approval here, the US plans to sell approximately $6.4 billion worth of weapons and equipment to Israel. That is an insane amount of money when it comes to weapons and military equipment. So, US President Donald Trump, especially here, is all in when it comes to supporting Israel in a military sense. Some reason, not as much when it comes to Europe, as we can see here. And this is what Kamala Harris said a while back, and it's turning out to be very true for the most part.
Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch. Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch. Putin would be sitting in
Quite
Kyiv.
accurate for the most part. He didn't even really respond to it at that time, but of what she said, because he knew it was like true for the most part. What Kamala Harris was saying there. And this is what we have now. Trump is effectively pulling back from NATO just as Russia begins violating the sovereignty of NATO nations like Poland and Estonia. The Pentagon has just informed European diplomats the U.S. will partially halt military assistance to Baltic nations and NATO states bordering Russia. So it's interesting how Kamala was somewhat correct about what she was saying at that time. She's wrong about a lot of other things, like 90% of the things she says. It seems she was quite right about what she was saying there in that debate. So the U.S. is partially halting military assistance to NATO states and the Baltic nations, which I believe all of the Baltic nations are part of NATO, so that's interesting how he kind of separated that there. Though, overall here, the U.S. is partially halting military assistance to NATO. Shortly after what the Russians just did and what we just talked about, flying fighter jets into Estonia, NATO airspace, the U.S. is backing away a little bit from that situation. It's just cowardice, and it's pretty stupid. It's a pretty stupid decision that Trump is backing away a little from that situation because he's so afraid of what Putin might do. Now, this is also what I was talking about before when it comes to Iran and these ICBMs that are very much so nuclear capable. Iranian officials are reporting that earlier this week, for the first time ever, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, successfully tested an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, with range enough to be able to strike all of Europe. So now Iran has a nuclear capable ICBM that they could strike all of Europe. I'm sure their first target is going to be Israel. It's quite a situation with that. Iran is now a threat to Israel in a massive way and all of Europe, which is most of NATO. There's now a massive, legitimate nuclear threat from Iran. Further with this, now, Iran will suspend all cooperation with the IAEA. So that's I believe it's the IAEA. I believe that's a international. It has to do with nuclear things. The IAEA. I'm gonna find out right now. Need to be reminded of the name. It's quite a name. The International Atomic Energy Agency is an independent international organization established under the United Nations framework to promote the safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear technology. That's what Iran has suspended all cooperation with. It was founded in 1957. It works to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons while advancing nuclear science for energy, medicine, agriculture, and environmental protection. So that's quite something that Iran has suspended all cooperation with the IAEA. They're going on a full nuclear path. They do not care anymore. It's as expected. Iran, especially the Iranian regime, for the most part, they don't care if they get nuked or blown up, anything of that sort. It just goes with their highly Muslim extremist religion. Their radical Muslim extremist religion. Now we have this here, and this is very recent. Lithuania's defense minister, D. Sakhalin, it's quite a name, comments on what should be done with Russian fighter jets violating NATO airspace after those 3 Russian jets violated Estonia's airspace yesterday. The defense minister of Lithuania said, "We need to mean business. Turkey set an example 10 years ago. Some food for thought." And I believe this is an old video
shot down at 6,000
of
feet. A Turkish
a
TV crew
Russian
filmed as
fighter
it
jet getting
fell,
shot
perfectly
down.
positioned, it seems, to ensure that the world got the message. Turkey will not accept violations of its airspace. The Russian fighter bomber was shot down at 6,000 feet. A Turkish TV crew filmed as it fell, perfectly positioned, it seems, to ensure that the world got the message. Turkey will not accept violations of its airspace.
Now what another crazy thing about that is, it was for a very short amount of time that Russian jet was passing through Turkey. It was an accident, and Turkey shot down that fighter jet. Fighter bomber, as the woman said. So that's just about all the massive breaking news. That's a lot of it. There is more. Let me see if I could find some more. Let me see here. Um, we'll look at that in a second. Some other further news. In the meantime, as this is a live stream recording initially, we'll look at this. The weather. I believe it's still hurricane season. We have a tropical storm just east of the Caribbean, Tropical Storm Gabrielle. It seems to be curving east, and it's supposed to stay east of Bermuda. We'll see. And then we have a disturbance right behind it. It has a very low chance of cyclone formation in the next week, though it could develop, and this could be the first one that hit. It's on a track. This possible cyclone formation. Its track is to hit maybe East Florida and possibly Texas and Louisiana. So we'll see. It could go all the way across like that. Or it could hit South Florida and then hit here in Texas. We're going to see exactly what happens with this cyclone, this possible cyclone formation. A tropical wave over the eastern Atlantic is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity well west southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. While development is unlikely during the next couple of days, environmental conditions should gradually become more favorable for slow development of this disturbance. By the middle to latter part of next week, while it moves west northwestward across the central tropical Atlantic. I got distracted there for a moment trying to get this other news, though it's on my phone and my phone just updated. It's been a while. Oh, this is another very interesting bit of news. Venezuelan general has defected and fled to the U.S. So a general, and he's an Air Force, I believe, is in the Venezuelan Air Force. He defected from Venezuela, and he's here now in the U.S. and he's cooperating with government officials and giving intelligence. So we have a massive new intelligence asset here in the U.S. from Venezuela, as that war is yet to kick off. When the U.S., big part of the Navy, and so many Marines, it's really looking like they're going to invade Venezuela due to their connection with the cartels. What was that cartel called? Forget the specific name. Cartel of the Suns. I didn't want to guess that. Maduro, the president of Venezuela, has a huge connection to the cartel of the Suns. That's a major part of what this general is talking about and giving intelligence to U.S. officials for. We also have Netanyahu, that's the Israeli prime minister. He's about to convene a crucial meeting on the Syria border agreement, so that's interesting. He's also asking the U.S. to press Egypt on the Sinai buildup. Egypt has a lot of tanks in buildup. Right there in Sinai, not far from Israel. It seems Egypt may get involved and into war with Israel. It's quite something. It's very strange. I mean, it has a big part of that is because so much of Egypt is Muslim too, very similar to Iran now. That's the problem when it comes to Egypt. Their government, and they're going to be. It looks like maybe doing a massive military deployment, an invasion into Israel, joining the war, wars plural, that against Israel. There's like 4 or 5 different wars now against Israel. We got the Houthis, Iran. It was Lebanon for a time. Gaza, which is the Palestine area. Syria, that too. That's 5, and Turkey's about to jump in. That's 6. Turkey's very likely to go to war with Israel. Their president declared that not too long ago. That's about 6 that I could think of off the top of my head. I believe is Egypt might be the 7th war that Israel is in. They're about to get very much so surrounded, it seems, and destroyed. I don't know if $6 billion of weapons is going to help them long. It might help them defend a little bit. Um, that's a lot of war that Israel is fighting. Well, mainly because they won't give Gaza, they won't let it become a Palestinian state. They won't let it become uh, pretty much where its origin and what it once was many, many years ago. Just because it's written in their Bible for the most part, that whole land and area is theirs, which it was all like written and put in that way for the most part, that it is that way. So that's a big thing that religion does. Religion has costed millions of lives. That's a big, major problem with religion. Spirituality is one thing, and it is far older than religion and far more uniting than religion. And it's so many lies in religion that religion has. There's lots of lies and manipulation, especially in that Bible that Israel goes off of so often, especially their Old Testament, that part of it. I believe they call it the Torah. So we're going to see what happens with these further developments. We've had some massive breaking news, especially with Iran having an ICBM, a nuclear capable ICBM, and is Russia putting 3 fighter jets, MiG 31s, that flew into Estonia. So I'd say maybe that's the largest bit of news here, is what Russia just did in Estonia with those fighter jets. And now Article 4, I've heard, has been invoked by Estonia. So I will be back soon with more breaking news and updates, and I will be watching all that's going on, especially with the World War III news coming up. In the future, I may talk about more spiritual stuff. I'll have to do like separate videos talking about all that more, because there's a lot of people who are so stuck in religion and indoctrinated, like brainwashed by it, just because of what's written in their Bible. Uh, it's quite a problem. Uh, how how separated and set in their ways that they are, just because there's so many things that are written in there, which it's been written and manipulated quite a few times over, especially by kings many years past, uh, ways that they wanted it to be. That's a whole nother conversation. Keep on preparing. I always recommend physical assets. Gold, silver, land, ammunition are great examples. Keep on preparing. Do not get complacent. Things are ramping up at lightning speed. I'll probably be back tomorrow. That's how intense and fast everything is going now. I hope to see you all on the next one. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and even donate if you will with the PayPal link in the description. Thanks for watching.